by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly whether or not you wanna spend your hard-earned money on the iPhone 16 Pro. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. If you're looking forward to this phone or the Apple Intelligence, it's not available just yet. But if you're feeling a little risky, the beta is available. It's a very simple process. All you have to do is just go Google it and you'll be able to look up the Apple beta and join it if you have an iPhone 15 Pro or later. But enough about Apple Intelligence. Let's actually get into the phone and whether or not you should upgrade to it. So the base model iPhone 16 Pro starts at $999 and the Pro Max starts at around $1,200. So I have a camera protector on here now, so the bezel doesn't exactly look like this. Looks a bit different, doesn't have the black rings around it. But far as color, this year the hero color is Desert Titanium. When I first looked at this, I thought it was gonna be like rose gold, but looking at it in person, it's actually a lot different from rose gold. Now, the color is a lot lighter, it's not as saturated as I thought it would be, and the back glass is a little hazy, but it has a nice texture on the back to where it's not slippery. Now, as far as the size, the base model is 6.3 inches and the max model is 6.9 inches. That is huge. But believe it or not, it doesn't change the body a lot. The bezels are a tiny bit thinner, making the screen bigger, so the body of the phone isn't as large as you think it needs to be. So if you're upgrading from a previous phone like the 14 or the 15, it's not going to be a huge difference if you have a max model. The screen's pretty much the same technology from the past 3 years. It gets a little brighter and the screen can also go all the way down to 1 nit. This allows for more efficiency when you have your always on display on. You can actually go into the settings and make it to where your always on display goes completely black to save as much battery as possible, and it's not as bright whenever you close it, because sometimes when you close these phones, the screen looks like it's still on and that wastes a lot of battery life. So having that 1 nit brightness helps reduce that. Now, I've only had this phone for a little while now, so I can't really speak on the edges. I know in the past with the Pro phones, these edges like to get chipped up, but this is actually the first titanium iPhone I've ever had. I think I jumped off the Apple ship when they introduced the titanium, but either way, I have to put a case on this thing because these phones are just way too expensive to be raw dogging. And let's talk about something that I didn't hear much about, and that's the speakers. The speakers are actually really nice. They're really loud. I came from the Nothing Phone 1, and when I say the speakers are 1,000 times better than the Nothing Phone 1 speakers, it's 1,000 times better than the Nothing Phone speakers. And obviously there's a huge price difference there, but I just wanted to let you know that it's a noticeable difference. As for the battery life, they claim that the iPhone 6 Pro Max has 33 hours of battery life. The base model 16 Pro has 27 hours. Of course, you need to keep this in mind. This is without the phones connected to the internet and simply just playing a video. This isn't a real life scenario, so you're gonna get less than what they actually advertise. My guess, you're probably gonna get like 23, 24 hours if you're like actually using it a lot, but I haven't tested that yet. That's just a wild guess, but you can't really go off of what they advertise because there's a lot of exceptions put into place to achieve those numbers. And of course, we got the new camera control button. This button is kind of weird. It's really weird having a whole button dedicated to the camera. Before, we were introduced to the action button, and this allowed us to pull out our camera pretty quick, but now we have a actual dedicated button to the camera. The camera control button is pretty nice. It's nice to have those features quickly available to you. I could take it or leave it, but with this phone having such a nice camera and microphone, it's nice to have some actual buttons dedicated to the camera controls because you're actually going to use this thing. It's pretty convenient, but I will say it takes some getting used to trying to reach it. It's way down here. Not really a normal motion for me to bend my thumb that far, and it feels weird, honestly, but maybe I just have to get used to it. Now, Apple also promised better battery life when it comes to gaming. I play a game called Pokemon Unite all the time, and this thing drained my battery when I had a Nothing Phone 1. But once I swapped over to the iPhone and used it for a day, I was able to get a full day's usage out of it, even though I was playing a couple matches of Pokemon Unite. So if you like to game a lot and you don't carry a charger on you often, this phone just might be for you. Other than that, Apple also claimed that their ceramic shield is 2 times better this year. I'm gonna take their word for it. The titanium's nice, all this glass is nice, but I don't wanna drop it against any kind of surface. Whether it breaks or not, you're gonna chip your phone up, it's not gonna look good. So lastly, we gotta talk about the camera. We now have a 50 megapixel ultra wide and we have a 5x zoom. Having a higher megapixel ultra wide camera is really nice because more pixels is always better. As a photographer, I gotta say, if you're able to get close enough to the subject and you have a lot of light available to you, you can come out with some pretty decent photos out of this. I really enjoy taking photos with iPhones. This is actually a photo I took a while ago on the iPhone 12 Pro. That being said, with the megapixel bump, the camera control, and the little bit of zoom that they added, it's a pretty nice upgrade, I'm not gonna lie to you. Now, to answer the question of whether or not you should buy the iPhone 16 Pro, it depends on where you're coming from. I came from the Nothing Phone 1, and that phone cost me $299. It was a replacement phone, but don't get me wrong, the Nothing Phone is a very high quality phone, especially for the price. I mean, it has some things in it that the iPhone doesn't have. It has a fingerprint scanner in the screen, and it has a 120 Hz refresh rate. That's crazy because the iPhone 16 base model doesn't even have that, and that phone's $799. But it was time to upgrade, so I got the iPhone 16 Pro, and it was an amazing upgrade for me. If you have a 15 Pro, this is a very incremental upgrade. The main thing they're advertising is the Apple Intelligence, and that isn't even out yet, unless you use the beta, but even the beta isn't complete, so you're not gonna get the full experience from it. So what I'm ultimately trying to say, if you have any of the past 2-3 phones, it's pretty questionable if you want to upgrade. Unless there's something wrong with your phone and you really want to have those Apple Intelligent features, then I would upgrade. But even then, if you don't want to spend that money on a brand new phone, you can buy the 15 Pro and still have those Apple Intelligent features available to you. The 16 Pro has the A18 Pro chip. This allows it to process Apple Intelligent tasks 15% quicker. Whenever you're getting it to summarize something or rewrite something, anytime you're using Apple Intelligence, it's going to do that 15% quicker. Now, is that noticeable? I really don't know. In my opinion, I wouldn't think it's that noticeable. So ultimately, if you're looking for a big upgrade, this probably isn't the phone. But if it's your time and you really need a new iPhone, and if you want something that's going to prepare you for Apple Intelligence, because we're going to get more and more Apple Intelligence features in the future, then I would get the iPhone 16 Pro. The base model iPhone 16 is 60 hertz. I just can't do that. I bought a phone that was $299, that was 120 hertz. I'm not buying a phone that's $800, that's 60 hertz. I just can't do it. But let me know what you think in the comments below. With all that being said, hope to see you in the next video. If you like this type of content, let me know by hitting that like button. And if you really enjoyed it, maybe even try hitting that subscribe button. I'm gonna be making content like this all the time. With all that being said, hope to see you in the next video.